All right, welcome in everybody. Today we are going deep, deep, deep into business financing.
The fuel for the entrepreneurial engine.
That is a good one. I like that. You guys send in a really interesting mix of sources, too. Articles on the basics, I saw some real-world case studies in there, even some pretty technical analysis.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that you guys are not just looking to skim the surface here.
No, I think that's right. The choices that you make about financing really can make or break a business, I think.
Absolutely.
It's not just about, getting the money. It's about understanding what it means in the long term.
Yeah.
For control, for growth, even for, your peace of mind as an entrepreneur.
100%. Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
You've got a killer business idea, right?
Right.
Or maybe you're ready to take your existing company to the next level. Where's the cash coming from? First big hurdle.
Well, you've got two fundamental avenues. You've got internal financing. That's the money you bring to the table.
Okay.
And then you've got the whole world of external funding.
Okay, so internal financing, that's basically dipping into your savings, maybe getting family and friends involved?
Exactly. We call that equity or capital. This is your skin in the game.
Right.
Which means that you retain a lot of control, but it can also limit how quickly you can scale up.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about those of us without a trust fund? I mean, that's where debt comes in, right?
Yeah, debt gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
But it can be a really powerful tool if it's used strategically. Think of it almost as a lever.
Okay.
It can amplify your ability to invest and grow, but you've got to manage that leverage carefully.
I'm already feeling like this is more than just like debt is bad, profit is good.
Right.
So walk us through the various flavors of debt financing. We've got a business owner listening who's ready to level up, not just scrape by.
Okay, let's start with the familiar. Bank loans.
Okay.
You've got, your traditional term loans where you borrow a fixed amount and you repay it over a set period, usually with interest. Now, the interest rate is key here. Is it fixed, meaning it stays the same over the life of the loan?
Right.
Or is it variable, meaning it fluctuates with the market?
Right.
That can have a huge impact on your repayments down the line.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, so fixed feels safer, but maybe you pay a premium for that peace of mind. What are some things that would make a lender offer a better interest rate?
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about risk from the lender's perspective.
Okay.
So the stronger your business's financial track record is, the more collateral you can offer, the lower the risk they perceive, and that translates into better terms for you.
Gotcha.
Now, within bank loans, you've also got things like lines of credit,
Okay.
which offer more flexibility.
Okay.
So it's like a pool of money that you can tap into as needed.
Okay.
It's great for managing short-term cash flow fluctuations.
Oh, that's a good distinction. So it's not just about the type of loan, it's about how it fits your specific cash flow needs. Okay. So what if you're a newer business without years of financials to show?
Yeah, that's where things get a little bit more challenging, right? Banks are notoriously risk-averse.
Right. They don't like to gamble.
So startups often have to turn to what are called alternative lenders.
Okay.
Now, these lenders may be more willing to take on higher risk,
Right.
but that usually comes with higher interest rates
Of course, yeah.
and sometimes even shorter repayment terms.
Makes sense, yeah. Higher risk, higher reward, I guess, for the lender. Now, in your notes, you mentioned something called secured versus unsecured debt. What's the difference there?
It all comes down to collateral.
Okay.
So secured debt means that you are putting up specific assets as security. Let's say you take out a mortgage to buy a commercial property.
Right.
The property itself becomes the collateral.
Okay.
If you default on the loan, the lender can seize the property to recoup their losses.
So there's more on the line for the borrower with secured debt?
Yes.
And unsecured debt.
Unsecured debt doesn't have specific assets tied to it.
Right.
So it's considered riskier for the lender. Think of, credit cards or some personal loans. Because there's no collateral to seize, lenders often charge higher interest rates to compensate for that risk.
And sometimes they might require a personal guarantee from the business owner, right? I read about that in one of the articles.
You're absolutely right. A personal guarantee essentially puts your personal assets on the line if the business can't repay the debt. It's a big decision, and it really highlights the importance of carefully considering the risks involved with any form of financing.
Right, for sure. Okay, we've covered bank loans, lines of credit, the whole secured versus unsecured thing. What other debt options should our business owner be aware of?
Well, let's talk about leasing.
Okay.
This is a popular choice, especially for equipment or vehicles.
Okay.
Instead of buying the asset outright, You essentially rent it for a specific period. The payments are usually lower than loan repayments. And you may even have the option to upgrade to newer equipment at the end of the lease term.
Oh, okay. So leasing can be a good way to manage cash flow and stay up to date with technology or equipment without a huge upfront investment. But what about the downsides? You don't actually own the asset at the end of the lease, right?
That's a key consideration. Leasing makes sense if you're comfortable with using the asset for a defined period and don't need to build equity through ownership.
Right.
But if you plan to use the asset for the long haul and you want to eventually own it outright, buying might be the better choice.
So many factors to weigh. Okay, what else is on our debt menu?
Well, we can't forget about trade credit.
Okay.
This is essentially an IOU system between businesses.
Okay.
Instead of paying for goods or services up front, you get a grace period, typically 30 or 60 days, to pay your supplier.
So it's like a short-term interest-free loan built into the business relationship.
Right.
That can be a real lifeline for businesses with tight cash flow.
It is. It allows you to use the supplier's money to generate revenue before you actually have to pay them. But it's important to manage trade credit carefully.
Yeah.
Late payments can damage your supplier relationships and even impact your credit rating.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on debt financing. From bank loans to leasing to trade credit, it's clear there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. Understanding the nuances of each option and choosing the right fit for your specific business needs is crucial.
But wait, there's more. What about government grants? That's got to be on the radar for any savvy business owner, right?
Absolutely. Grants are often seen as the holy grail of financing, essentially free money to help you grow your business.
Right.
But there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
I bet.
We'll delve into the fascinating world of grants in the next part of our deep dive.
Ooh, cliffhanger. All right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like after that deep dive into debt financing, we've already covered a semester's worth of business school in just one episode, but we're just getting started.
And remember, we're not stopping at definitions.
Right.
We're going to equip you to actually apply this knowledge.
Exactly.
To make, smart financing decisions for your own ventures.
Exactly. Because what good is all this knowledge if you don't know how to use it in the real world, right? So let's get practical. You mentioned government grants at the end of the last segment. Those sound pretty amazing. Who wouldn't want free money, right? But I'm guessing there's a catch.
There's always a catch, right?
Yeah.
Grants aren't just handouts.
Right.
They're strategic investments made by governments to achieve specific goals.
Okay.
Things like stimulating economic growth, supporting innovation, or addressing social challenges.
Yeah.
So to access those funds, your business needs to align with those goals.
Okay, so it's not just about having a good business idea.
Right.
It's about having a good business idea that fits into the government's bigger picture.
Exactly.
What are some common types of grants that our listener might be eligible for?
Well, there are grants for research and development,
Okay.
helping businesses bring new products or technologies to market. There are grants for exporting, supporting companies that want to expand their reach internationally. And there are grants for sustainability initiatives, encouraging businesses to adopt environmentally friendly practices. And the list goes on and on.
So where do you even start? It sounds like a maze of government websites and applications.
It can definitely feel overwhelming, but there are resources available to help you navigate the process.
Okay.
Many governments have dedicated agencies or websites that provide information on available grants
Right.
and eligibility criteria. There are also grant consultants who can help you identify relevant opportunities and even assist with the application process.
Okay, that's good to know. So let's say our listener has found a grant that seems like a perfect fit. What are some key things to keep in mind during the application process?
First and foremost, read the guidelines carefully. Each grant program has specific eligibility requirements, application deadlines, and reporting obligations.
Okay.
Make sure you meet all the criteria and submit a complete and compelling application.
Right.
Highlight how your project aligns with the grant's objectives and the positive impact it will have.
Okay.
Remember, you're not just asking for money. You're making a case for why your business deserves support.
Okay, so it's about showcasing the value you bring, the impact you'll make. And I bet competition is fierce. What are some tips for making your application stand out from the crowd?
You're right, it is a competitive process. One tip is to focus on storytelling.
Okay.
Don't just present dry facts and figures. Weave a compelling narrative that engages the reviewers and helps them connect with your vision.
Right.
Highlight the passion behind your project and the problem you're trying to solve. And don't be afraid to showcase your unique strengths and differentiators.
Okay.
What makes your business special? What impact will this grant have on your community or industry?
Those are great tips. So let's say our listener has nailed the application and been awarded the grant.
Congratulations.
What happens next?
Congratulations, but the journey doesn't end there.
Right.
Most grants come with reporting requirements.
Okay.
You'll need to track how you're using the funds and demonstrate the progress you're making toward the agreed-upon goals.
Makes sense.
This helps ensure transparency and accountability, demonstrating that the government's investment is being used effectively.
Makes sense. So it's not just free money, it's a partnership
It's a partnership.
with the government to achieve shared objectives. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's been on my mind. We've covered debt and grants, both of which involve borrowing or receiving funds from external sources. But what about bootstrapping? That's all about using your own resources to get the business off the ground, right?
Bootstrapping is the ultimate form of self-reliance. It's about using your own savings, sweat equity, and creativity to build your business without relying on external funding. It's often the path chosen by entrepreneurs who want to maintain full control and ownership of their ventures.
I love the scrappiness of it,
Yeah.
but I mean, it can't be easy. What are some key strategies for successful bootstrapping?
Well, you need to be incredibly resourceful and disciplined.
Okay.
Start by minimizing your expenses and maximizing your revenue.
Right.
Get creative with your marketing.
Okay.
Focus on building a strong network of supporters. And be prepared to wear many hats and work long hours.
Right.
It's not for the faint of heart,
Yeah.
but the rewards can be immense.
Okay, so I've got debt, grants, and bootstrapping. Three very different approaches to fueling business growth. But here's the thing. It doesn't always have to be in either situation, right?
You're absolutely right. Many businesses use a combination of financing methods,
Okay.
depending on their stage of development, their goals, and their risk tolerance.
Okay.
For instance, they might bootstrap in the early days, then secure a loan to purchase equipment, and later bring on investors as they scale up.
So it's not about finding the one right answer.
Right.
It's about building a financing strategy that evolves with your business. Kind
Exactly.
of like assembling a financial toolkit with the right tools for each stage of the journey.
That's a great analogy.
Mm-hmm.
And as your business grows, you'll gain experience and confidence in navigating the complex world of financing. You'll be able to make more informed decisions and position your business for long-term success.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to the listener who's probably feeling a bit overwhelmed by all these options. What are some key takeaways, some guiding principles that they can use to make sense of all this information?
It all comes back to understanding your business,
Right.
its needs and its goals.
Right.
What are you trying to achieve? What are your risk tolerance and your desired level of control? Answering these questions will help you narrow down your options
Right.
and choose the financing path that aligns best with your vision.
And remember, it's an ongoing process. Your financing needs will change as your business evolves. So stay informed, stay flexible, and don't be afraid to seek advice from mentors, financial advisors, and other entrepreneurs who've been there before.
Exactly. The more you learn, the more confident you'll become in making strategic financing decisions.
Right.
That will fuel your business's growth and help you achieve your entrepreneurial dreams.
Okay, folks, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored debt financing, demystified government grants, and even touched on the art of bootstrapping. But we're not quite done yet. In the next part of our episode, we'll bring it all together with some final thoughts and some actionable advice to empower you on your entrepreneurial journey. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into business financing. We've covered a lot of ground: debt, grants, bootstrapping, even the emotional aspects of giving up equity. But I'm already sensing this isn't just about memorizing terms, It's about making tough decisions. You've hit the nail on the head. Every business is unique, and there's no one-size-fits-all formula for financing. The real skill is knowing how to weigh the pros and cons of each option and making a choice that aligns with your long-term vision.
So true. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of securing funding, but we need to be thinking several steps ahead. What are some of the long-term implications that business owners often overlook?
Well, one common pitfall is focusing too much on the short-term cost of financing
Okay.
and not enough on the long-term impact on ownership and control. Taking on debt might seem cheaper upfront,
Right.
but those monthly repayments can really put a strain on cash flow.
Yep.
especially in the early stages of a business. And if you miss payments, you risk damaging your credit rating,
Right.
which makes it even harder to secure financing in the future.
That's a great point. It's not just about the sticker price of the loan. It's about the ripple effects it can have on the entire business.
Mm.
And what about equity financing? What are some of the long-term implications of bringing investors on board?
Well, when you give up equity, you're essentially giving up a piece of your business.
Right.
That means sharing future profits
Mhm.
and potentially diluting your control over decision making. Investors typically want to say in how the business is run, and their priorities might not always align with yours.
Right, right. So there's a trade-off between getting the capital you need to grow and potentially having to compromise on your vision. How can business owners navigate that tricky balance?
Well, it's crucial to carefully vet potential investors
Okay.
and make sure they're a good fit for your business culture and your values.
Mm.
Look beyond the money they bring to the table. Do they have relevant experience in your industry? Can they provide valuable mentorship and guidance? Are they aligned with your long-term goals?
It's almost like choosing a business partner, not just a financial backer.
Exactly.
And I bet that due diligence process can be just as important, if not more so, than negotiating the terms of the investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Building a successful business is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Choosing the right financing partners can make all the difference in ensuring you have the support and resources you need to go the distance.
I'm getting a much clearer picture now of how strategic financing is about so much more than just getting the money.
Right.
It's about making decisions that empower you to build the kind of business you want on your own terms.
Exactly. And as your business grows, your financing needs will evolve. You might start with bootstrapping, then secure a small business loan, and later consider seeking venture capital to fuel rapid expansion.
Yeah.
The key is to stay informed, adapt to changing circumstances, and never be afraid to seek advice from experts who can guide you along the way.
I love that. It's about building a financial roadmap that evolves with your business.
Right.
And speaking of roadmaps, what are some key steps our listener can take right now to get started on this financing journey?
Well, first get crystal clear on your business goals and your financial needs. How much capital do you need? What are your revenue projections? What are your key milestones for growth? Having a solid understanding of your financial position will help you determine the best financing options available to you.
Okay, so start with a clear financial picture. What's next?
Do your research,
Okay.
explore different financing options, compare terms and conditions, and talk to other business owners who've gone through the process.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask questions and seek professional advice from financial advisors, mentors, or even government agencies that offer support to small businesses.
Okay. So gather information, explore options, and don't go it alone. Any other parting wisdom to leave our listener with?
Remember, securing financing is just one piece of the puzzle. Focus on building a strong business foundation. Develop a compelling product or service, create a solid marketing strategy, and cultivate strong relationships with customers and suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, it's the strength of your business that will attract investors and lenders,
Right.
and position you for long-term success.
That's such a great point. It's not just about the money. It's about building a sustainable business that can thrive regardless of the funding source.
Good.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this deep dive into business financing. Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Just this, business financing can seem daunting,
Mm.
but it's an exciting journey of discovery and growth. Embrace the challenge, be strategic in your decision making, and never lose sight of your entrepreneurial vision.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, the best business advice often comes from those who've been there, done that. So don't be afraid to reach out, connect with other entrepreneurs, and share your experiences. We're all in this together.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep chasing those entrepreneurial dreams.